All right, well, good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. We are here in the sanctuary. I am going to give my sound a little test because it sounds like that's not coming in super well for folks. So give me 1 second to do a test out. Let's see. Let's see if I can turn up a volume. All right, is this better? Or am I overpowering now? Better, worse, same? All right, we'll give it a go and try again. So welcome to the First UU Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. We are having a service today for Labor Day and playing with, because yesterday was International Workers' Day, Labor Day in many countries other than our own. Labor and fertility are also a classic of Beltane, which is May Day, May 1st. And so thinking about the ways that that word gets used today. And I hope that you will enjoy the service. We'll start off with a little bit of Dolly Parton as our prelude. Welcome. Our call to worship today is in 3 parts. We'll begin with a call from the past. It's by Tania Marquez. From the heights of the Andes, the jungle, and the desert, from the depth of the sea, from a time that was, from a time that stretches beyond our memory, we are called. Our histories stretch back to the first people, the first steps, the collision of worlds to abrupt beginnings, all the wanderers of this land. We have inherited the unfinished labor of our ancestors, of those who came before us. We are called to continue the work. So good morning, friends, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Mount. I'm so happy to be welcoming you here to our online space and our physical space. As you could tell from the very beginning of the worship service, we're trying out some pieces of our system to get ourselves back into the pulpit, either in the sanctuary or on the side lawn this summer. And so we're given a few things to try and hoping that it goes pretty well. And if it doesn't, as you all have already seen, there's a chat bar. If you're joining us for the first time, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then when you want to watch worship at a time that isn't 10:30 a.m. on a Sunday on Zoom, you can do that. You can also look for additional content, including meditations, hymns, poetry, and other little bits of good content. Couple of technical notes. If you're on the computer, You're welcome to have your video on. It helps us to feel that we are in community together. But if you do find that you get too comfortable watching from your own home and might forget that you're on video, you are welcome to turn that off as well at any point. There's also a speech bubble. It's kind of in the middle if you are on your computer. Tablets and phones have a little bit different of a setup. But that chat feature we use during our passing of the peace, our joys and concerns, and our chalice lighting to connect with one another and participate in the worship service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania, is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We're self-governing congregations united in a web of mutuality that creates the denomination. There's no formal creed or doctrine. Rather, we teach that all individuals have the right and responsibility to discern and follow their own spiritual path. We come together to support and assist each other on our personal journeys and to build our beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the worship service for conversation. The microphones will be opened up so that you can check in about how you're feeling and what's on your hearts, and we generally go into breakout rooms for that. A couple other just small announcements. We are doing our best to get some outdoor worship going in the next few weeks. Some of that depends on what's happening in terms of vaccination rates and the infection rate in our county. With that said, we have already put a Wi-Fi extender in. So if you on your own feel like you would have a good time going outside and taking in a little sun along with the Sunday worship service, you are welcome to socially distance yourself across our side lawn and attend service on the grounds, if not in the building. While we won't be having a formal event as yet, because we haven't hit our policy markers, you are welcome to do for yourself what seems safe and comfortable for you. And now, and I think I have one more announcement from Sid Rieger, which I have failed to put in here. There is here we are. There is a fair districting event happening just after the worship service, so you are welcome to stay. This is a nonpartisan event talking about how having fair district lines affects all of us and affects the way that you are able to interact with your legislative system. So as Sid says, citizenship isn't for the faint of heart. Come and find out how our legislative process works and what you can do about it. Fair District's co-chairs Stanley Chapaitis and Sid Rieger will untangle the issues and explain a current bill that needs our support. Really easy to get to that. Just stay on after the worship service. And now, if you'll take a breath and just settle yourself into a spirit of worship. The voices of our people call us now. The world harbors their joys and their sorrows. We hear the cries of our people demanding justice. In that call, we recognize the voices of those who wander the desert, the border crossers, the navigators, the justice seekers, the dreamers, and the hopeful. We weave our story into the story of our ancestors, right here, right now. We are in the midst of responding to a call that comes from all corners of this land, from the south, the north, the east, and the west. We are called to sustain the work. Come, let us worship together. If you have a chalice or a candle, you may wish to light its flame now. Whether you're lighting a physical candle or just the one in your heart, you can type "the flame is lit" and where you're joining us from in your chat bar. Let us read together the words for our chalice lighting. We light this flame as our ancestors lit campfires to sit together, warmed by its light, and tell the stories which we create, the stories which create and sustain us in return. And our opening hymn is "Building a New Way," number 1017.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can meet our every need. We can meet our every need. We can feed our every need. Stop with love that is a seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our pride. Peace and freedom Peace and freedom is our cry.
And now Penny Vick will share with us our time for all ages.
Good morning. This morning, Reverend Elizabeth will be talking about labor and being fertile and thriving. And the story that I've chosen today is about the earth and the animals during springtime and their busyness. Busy spring. Nature wakes up. Written by Sean Taylor and Alex Morris. In the wintertime, the garden felt quiet and gray, and it looked like it was sleeping. Then one morning, Dad was wearing his sweater with a hole in it. That meant it was a good day for going outside to do gardening. And it was. I went, and so did my little sister, Jasmine. The yard was bright, and birds were singing, hopping, and pecking. A big bee flew by in a hurry. Everything smelled like wet earth and sunshine. "It's warm," said Jasmine. Dad nodded. "It's spring." Dad told us he had digging to do, and we could carry things to the compost heap, then help plant carrots. He said, let's see where I left the fork. Let's see, said Jasmine. She splashed through a puddle, and birds flew up and continued chattering in the trees. "The birds are all busy," I said. Dad told us everything's busy. The plants are busy, the animals are busy. Spring's a busy time. Jasmine shouted, "Busy spring!" Dad brushed his hand through flowers as tall as Jasmine. Bees and bugs and flies zoomed out. He told us the spring sunlight is nature's alarm clock. Life's waking up. Plants are racing to get more light. Some grow high, and then the wind scatters pollen from the flowers. Some paint themselves brilliant colors to attract insects. Jasmine put her face in some flowers. They made her sneeze. "You're not a bumblebee," I told her. But she ran around going buzz, 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 buzz. Jasmine buzzed around the pond. "There are tadpoles," she shouted. Dad said, "Did you know tadpoles turn into butterflies?" I told him, "They turn into frogs." "Oh, yes," Dad laughed. "That's right. Frogs make too many babies to count. The fastest and luckiest tadpoles grow big and strong. And when they become frogs, you'll hear them croaking spring songs." "Can you jump like a frog?" I asked Jasmine. "No," she said, "but I can fly like a butterfly." Jasmine fluttered away and fluttered back. Birds swooped like they were playing too. One stopped on a branch. I said, "She's eating a twig." "She's not eating it," said Dad. "There are lots of tasty caterpillars around for her to eat. She's collecting twigs to make a nest, and soon there'll be newborn chicks up there." "Cheep, cheep," sang Jasmine. "Cheep, cheep, cheep, cheep." It didn't sound quite like the birds, but it sounded happy like them. We still hadn't found Dad's fork. It wasn't by the shed, but the hole where the fox lives was, and Jasmine peeped down. "Is the fox inside?" I asked. Dad nodded. "Yes, and she'll have fox cubs now." "Little fox cubs?" Jasmine called. "Come and play, come and play." "They just want to be with their mom for now," whispered Dad. "But they'll soon be playing games in the spring sunshine." "What games?" I asked. "Rolling and bouncing," said Dad. "And chasing and pouncing." Then he chased us like we were foxes. I ran behind the compost heap. "Dad," I shouted, "here's your fork." Dad came to get it. "Who lives in there?" Jasmine asked. Dad rolled back a log with the fork. Insects, he said. There were rushing ants and woodlice. There were worms and a shiny beetle. Those are nature's recyclers, Dad told us. They're working hard, eating up all the dead things. I spotted a caterpillar next to the compost heap. Look, I pointed. Spring's all around us, smiled Dad. Everything's growing, feeding, and making new life. That caterpillar was an egg a few days ago. Now she's eating and eating. Next, she'll wrap herself in a cocoon. Then she'll change into a butterfly and find a mate. Yes, I said, tadpoles become frogs and caterpillars become butterflies. Dad looked at Jasmine and asked, can you become a butterfly again? No, she said, but I can become a frog. And off she hopped. It might rain in a bit, called Dad. And we came out to do something else, didn't we? Digging, I said. And planting carrots, Jasmine told him. That's right, said Dad. Come on. So we did. Birds sang along, petals came dancing down, and we got busy.
The voices of those who will be call us, a reminder of who we need to be. In the weaving of our story to the web of life, we must remember that we must not cut the strings, for there are others coming after us, others with tender hearts and strong wills, with creative determination, those who will live in the house of tomorrow. Their vision escapes us, yet we are called to prepare the road or the garden bed, to leave behind possibility and foundations upon which they'll build a better tomorrow. We are called to create new opportunities. At this time, let us pause for a moment and look around. You might want to scroll through just to see who is here and offer a blessing for one another. For noticing each other is a form of worship in being together. So you might type now in the chat bar something like, may peace be with you. Shalom. Namaste. Salam alaikum. Or blessed be. It is so good to be together. Our next hymn is hymn number 109. The anthem is called Bread and Roses, and it's an old labor anthem included in our hymnal as both a labor rights and a feminist piece of work. I invite you to sing along as you feel called to do so. bread and roses, nourishment for not only the belly, but also the soul. The Unitarian Universalists across the years, both historic denominations, have acted for workers' rights time and again. And this concept of labor, of work, of a joined and whole idea of what people's lives might be, is one that calls out to us across the ages. Because it is not simply because they happen to share a name that we mix this workers' rights concept with that of fertility, of thriving, of roses, of birthing. The Unitarian Universalists have also created a curriculum called Our Whole Lives, and it's a sexuality curriculum. And I bring it today because our whole lives include our work time, our resting time, our play time, our time for connection and relationship with one another. And this is why we term our sexuality education our whole lives. Not simply because we believe that people think about sex a lot, but because we believe that whole people must be people who have attention for their bodies, for their hearts, for their minds, for their spirits, and that all of these are connected in the choices that we make. And one of the most powerful choices of those is the choice of how to thrive. Whether that is in the fertility of having children of our own, or whether that is in the choices of making other connections of friends and family, giving birth, metaphorically, to projects and ideas, to perhaps organizations which live on far after we have left them behind, or which score great victories in creating a better human condition for us all. All of these things are connected at the base by our Unitarian Universalist values, which call us to understand ourselves as utterly connected in a web of people, of the world, and of choices that matter. When we choose to work with other workers for common goals, when we choose to make families in all kinds of wonderful interconnected ways, when we choose to be friends, when we choose to stretch our minds, to open our hearts, to care for our spirits by taking days of rest, that hard-won weekend brought to you by the Union. All of these things are interwoven and grounded in our Unitarian Universalist values. So will you join me at this time in speaking together our Unitarian Universalist principles? We, the Unitarian Universalist Association, apparently covenant to have technical difficulties. Give me half a second. There we are. Covenant to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. to practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, accept one another and encourage spiritual growth, support the freedom to search for what is true and right in life, ensure all have a vote about matters that concern them, work for a peaceful, fair, and free world, and care for planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. And now, our centering words and music are two pieces, both called Which Side Are You On? The first is a classic by Florence Reese from here in Appalachian coal country. The second is by a hip-hop group called Rebel DS. They are a duo that speak to concerns of immigrants, laborers, activists, and community organizers. What is important to me that you hear in these words is that which side are you on is not a choice about rejecting a side, but a choice about bringing forth what will cause us to thrive, to join the side of life and hope and love. I'll let them say so, though, in their own words.
Expect that most of you already know her, Miss Florence Reese.
I'm not a coal miner, as you well know, but I'm as close as I could be not to be one. My father was a coal miner who was killed in the mines, and my husband is slowly dying with black lung. And my husband and me was in the strike in the 30s in bloody Harlan County, and I do mean it is bloody too. And they tell me, these miners say, we're going to stick it out unless Duke Power signs a contract till hell freezes over. And the men knows they've got nothing to lose but their chains and their union to gain. So I say, hang in there. And now this song I composed in the 30s. And as you know, I'm old, as 40 years ago, and I can't sing very well. But you can ask the scabs and the gun thugs which side they're on, because they're workers too. Come all you poor workers, good news to you I'll tell, how the good old Union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? If you go to Harlan County, there is no neutral there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We gotta tell folks which side we on. Let's go, True Master. Let's put your fist up if you feel this music. Don't be afraid. We can't be afraid to put that fist up. That's still a symbol of power in our communities, y'all. Come on. See, I gotta draw the line, I can't take it no more. If you ain't down with revolution, what you waiting for? Making money for suckers in our communities poor. Ripping flags off of coffins and this ain't our war. Colonized, terrorized by the world's biggest killers. The US government, the biggest weapon and drug dealers. Filling prisons with children incarcerating the future. MySpace and Facebook got us stuck on computers. Stuck on stupid bumping music that's abusive to the shoulders. The nonsense that they spitting, we just listen and absorb it. I'm dumping out my walking, I'm a giant, I'm ready. With the opera, Oaxaca, and we hold the machetes. I rock hard like Palestinian children holding slingshot. Shot with every single kid that's down for hip-hop, the culture, the life, what it really stands for. This music is resistance, it's the voice of the poor. On the side of the workers, the teachers and lunch ladies. On the streets, the brown mommies raising out brown babies. I'm in youth organized, cleaning up the Bronx River. Kai Miscalante when I stand and deliver. I'm with Airborne Morales, man, he running Bolivia. Distribution of the land so we can all live bigger. I'm with Fugo and Fidel, Grandmaster of Melly Mill. With the Panthers of justice for Sean Bell. With Camacho Negrón, with Ojeda Rios. Beat up for Oscar Lopez, I'm getting the pill. With a Blue Jamal, I'm with the side of Shakur. With the compas in and Oscar Lee getting up anymore. Which side are you on? Sean said, which side are you on? The cell phone, which side are you on? With Troy, yeah, which side are you on? I'm with Albany, which side are you on? With the people, which side are you on? With Freedom Square, which side are you on? With the prisoners, which side? Now I'm for telling the truth, exposing the lies. Think about the bad soldiers when you're driving your ride. The people die for the oil and daddy pushes revenge. I'm with the widows, the children, and the lonely best friends. My family staying together as one. I'm not for the raids or the deportations. I'm with Victor Toro and the MRR. So watch out for those snitches in that Omar car. And for Lil Tony, you don't fight for your moms. So we gon' shout it out twice in one song. I'm for 12 million workers and then Vida Ariana. For a world without boys and a better tomorrow. Better tomorrow.
So we come to that time in our worship where we build together that network of all the people who we are with. And this is a time for sharing. I invite you to type into the chat bar anything that you would like lifted up in our pastoral prayer. Traditionally, for our pastoral prayer, each person is invited to light a candle to remind us of all that we hold within one another, the way that our spirits are rekindled in this place, the way we are connected to each other. So in this spirit, as we share in this time, let us join together in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, weaver, creator of the tapestry of our lives, be with us in this moment. Be with us as we notice what is hard in this world. Be with us as we help to carry one another's burdens, or just to make space for one another to lighten the load for a moment. Let us lift up in prayer. Let us notice and hold in the light Juanita and Judy and their families, Glenn Sims, May he be held in love as he works to regain health and rest. For the people in India and all over the world who are suffering. For Kyle Wilhelm and Kyle's family, who is going through a lot right now. May they each and all be held in our tender care. In the wider world, may we hold out hope for vaccines. May we hold strength, courage, solidarity with workers everywhere. May each of us be reminded this day and every day that our choices matter, that our work is deeply important to the world, that we are worthy and we are worth a living and thriving wage. That there is abundance and enough in the world to hold justice, to hold a thriving life for every one of us, which need not be a competition. Let us hold in tender care all the essential workers who have been holding so much care for us, from hospitals to schools to the corner store. Let us hold each and every person who risks so that others may have what they need in our care. Let us hold in care all the children who are not yet able to be vaccinated. And let us hold the joy of springtime, the thriving of life, the beauty of sunlight and blossoming plants and birds and baby animals everywhere. And let us know that the world turns, that life continues, and that in it we are loved, and there is abundant care available to every one of us. Blessed be. This is the time in our worship when we generally receive the morning offering. This week, our morning offering goes to the Chevy Chase Center. We give a portion of every week's donations to an organization outside of the church as part of our congregation's mission to promote compassionate and responsible thought and action in the world. You can give by PayPal, sending a donation to office@firstuu-indianapa.org, or you can send an email to that address to find out how to set up a bank transfer or make a donation by cash or check with Holly, our office administrator. The Chevy Chase Center empowers the disadvantaged population of Indiana County with love, nutrition, education, and involvement, providing healthy meals, programs for youth, and much more for all those in need. In addition to your generous financial gift today, The community center is always looking for volunteers. Areas of general help in daily operations, and some specific skills like grant writing and newsletter development are always welcome. So please give as you are able to the work of this church within and beyond our walls as we join together in singing our offertory hymn.
Blessed be the gifts, blessed be the gifts, the ones we give and those that you reveal. Help us use our gifts, our varied simple gifts, to show our love and help our world to heal. Revive our tired minds, make our hearts more just and kind. Give us souls that rally to the task. Fight for justice, help us teach, help us act and care and reach out to others with a hand for them to clasp.
Our sermon today is entitled Fertile and Thriving. What I want to share with you is a very simple truth. Most people want to help one another. Most children, from as early as they can start to play with other children, want to be generous, are inclined to empathy. Our brains contain something called mirror neurons, and they are a specific part of the brain which is designed to make empathy happen. They make you feel what you see. They're what make television so compelling and movies. We want to watch other humans. We feel, to some extent, what other humans are feeling, what we can read on their faces and in their body language. And this inclines us to work for common goals, to care what a community thinks and feels, to be not loners but pack animals. From the earliest creation stories, these are stories not simply of an individual being created, but inevitably of groups or tribes, of a single person being lonely, needing someone to be with, someone to see, someone to share conversation and care and love. This story is universal. Every creation story tells us the story of a community coming into being, of families and bonds being a critical part of creation. So then, we wonder, how did we begin to drift? Because the other universal story, the other thing you can find in cultures all across the world, is a story of admonishment, a story of disconnect, a story of selfishness or greed, and the warning, if you are this way, you will not find friends, you will not find love, you will not find reward. And where there is a caution, it is nearly always because this thing has happened. Because there is a tension in the human mind, in our development and our being as humans. Because humans want to be generous, recklessly so. We want to give so that all will be happy. And humans are planners. Humans have a brain with enough gray matter to predict the future, to remember what has been hard for our survival in years past, to know of the cycles of seasons, and worry, if we do not store food now, what will happen in 6 months, or 12, in 10 years? And this ability to worry is the other human gift. But our planning is always in tension with our generosity. It is a question which we hold as Unitarian Universalists as part of our 7 principles. It's the end points of an eternal tug of war that we acknowledge. That there is the independent, the desire to plan, to know, to be the deciders of our own fate, to have enough stuff that we don't need people to enable us. And on that other side, there is the knowledge that we are all inextricably linked from the creation of the universe, that there are bonds of community that tightening our social structure, weaving those threads together and looking for the frayed ones again and again is critical to a healthy and thriving community, a society, a people who are interdependent. These live in eternal tension. Neither one nor the other will make us whole. And they live in our human stories, in our myths and our mythos. Because when we turn too deeply toward the reckless abandon of now, we are not responsible citizens. And yet, we here live in a society that does not often have that problem. Not on a societal level. We live in the other kind of society, one that highly values the individual. One that rather than creating societal thriving, tells you that you, just you, individual you can buy this which will make you happy. You can eat this food that will make your life joyful. You can drink this soda pop that will make you sparkle. You can drink more energy drinks so you can work harder. Then you can take the vacation that you also saw on television. You individual you should be making as much as you can, but not even to stockpile, just to spin yourself around in a cycle of busy. You can be independently busy. And then when you come to rest, perhaps you will notice that your community bonds are not as secure as you had hoped, and you are lonely, and it is hard to be at rest. And so, this Labor Day, what else might we grow? Because we could jump back on that roller coaster and ride it around and around in exciting loops. But we will always be busy. We will always be tired. And eventually, we will be sick if we go in those circles too long. What happens if we get off? What happens if we begin to see ourselves once again as human communities, more than simply individuals? What happens when we push back? What happens when we allow birthing and life and death and renewal to cycle around gently as part of a dance of human communities? When we notice that roses, that beauty is as necessary as bread for the body and the soul. What happens when we pick the side that is being with one another, that is loving one another, that is insisting upon growing gardens to feed us all, that insists upon taking the time to have coffee with a friend, go for a walk, sit on a bench, breathe deep and enjoy the springtime. Ancient fertility rituals, May Day, are not intended to be about sex in the sense of simple having sex, coitus. They are there to remind us that relationship is a necessary part of the life cycle, that taking the time for fun together is important, that there must be dancing and beauty and flitting about like butterflies and hopping like frogs and digging in our gardens if things are to thrive in the months and years ahead. This is why it is as important to celebrate our whole lives, our sexuality education, as it is to celebrate Labor Day as a workers' rights holiday. These are forever linked. That taking time, that being together in relationship, that making a thriving world will always be within our UU values, will always be the reason for religious community, to remind us that solidarity is bigger than any one fight. It is how we are human. So again and again, celebrate the weekend Live your lives. Enjoy the work you enjoy. Labor, knowing that what you bring about in thriving is worthy and good, and that your choices matter. Refuse to let the story of your life, of your work, be inevitable. Be part of the story and let this community thrive. May it be so. And now, let us extinguish our chalice flame. The words are in your chat bar. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And I invite you to join me in our closing hymn, which is Pete Seeger's The Garden Song.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rains come tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Need a spot to call my own, for the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rains come tumbling down. Plant your rows short or long, seasoned with a cheerful song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her loving care. Old crow watching from a tree got his hungry eye on me. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain come tumbling down.
Our benediction words are by the Reverend Jim McGaw in Pittsburgh. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. And if you'd like to stay for our coffee hour, please feel welcome to do so. I'm going to take my computer outside. So I'll be sorting you all into breakout rooms as you like. Let me know, Ligonier folk, so I can make sure that you get into the correct room. And we will start our fair districting talk in about 15 minutes. You are welcome to take yourselves off of mute at any point.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Carlise.
Hi there, how are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Hi, Charles.
Oh.
And off they go. Oh,
Here we
hi,
are.
Kyle.
Kyle,
We'll
I'm
see you
glad
on
you were able to
Facebook.
join us.
Sideways.
Kyle, which school district are the kids in now?
He's gone.
He left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what's going on? Because he posts all these things and people offer to, listen and provide some help and nothing,
I asked him to come to church today and
I
try
know,
to stay for afterwards.
I saw that and I saw that he came because he hasn't been
Yeah.
on for months and months.
Can I ask, how old is he? Is he like junior high, high school?
Oh,
or-
no. He's a married
Not my age.
person with kids.
Okay, that's
He's
how
got-
old I am, that
Yeah.
I look, everybody looks so young to me.
I
You look very young there. All right, I'm off to room 2.
Okay, thank
See you
you.
in a sec.
All right. See y'all there.
Okay. He says things, and then I try to talk to either him or Cheryl at times.
Yeah, I think they may just feel pretty private about what's going on, but I think it's nice for them to be in community, but probably pushing for information is gonna feel not as great. So
Yeah, that's why I suggested coming
Yeah.
and then maybe going to a small breakout room.
yeah, I don't know if talking about it is where they're at right now. So I think if we can just gently be loving without trying to ask, that probably works pretty well. Did you get your invite to your breakout room successfully?
Who else is on here?
Oh, you should have an invitation to room 2.
What did I do to it?
Uh-oh.
I probably messed it up some kind of way.
Well, let me see if I can move you and it might invite you again.
Yep, it does.
Perfect. All right.